Okay, so the next thing is, I guess we're gonna go through how to make the step-by-step axonometric or isometric drawing for your boards that that's on our agenda for today. Is that correct? Yes. Okay. Did he tell you what you're supposed to have in each step along the way?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Somebody want to give me the list?
The first one is the enclosure ground floor with the floor plane.
Say that again.
It's the ground plane of the enclosure
Uh-huh.
and the floors of the three spaces, three rooms.
Okay.
Are you able to post this later?
Yep.
Okay.
So hopefully you guys have all of that information in some manageable form. Let's see. Let me just get this drawing all set up here. And so I'm going to turn off all my clipping planes. I'm going to put this in ghosted view just so I can see what I'm working with. And I'm going to move, you don't have to do any of this, I'm just moving it to 0, 0 so that I okay. And ghosted. It's not really showing up ghosted today, but that's okay. And I'm just gonna make a couple of things really quick so that I have the right things to work with. Sure why this isn't auto-hiding. Okay, thank you. Thanks. Okay, so the first one is the planes, or these guys. And then the second one, so what I'm going to do, I think the best way to do this is to, you guys don't have all these things modeled out separately like are shown in the drawings, do you? No? Okay. There's two ways you could go about it. One is to make a copy of the file and set it up so that you have step 1, step 2, step 3 as individual building elements. So you would make a copy of it and move it over and turn on and off different things. The other thing we can do is set up one camera view and turn on and off the things that we need and put them step by step. Are they supposed to, I guess I could open up the, I think I have a copy of the board. I have a copy of it here. I'm trying to see if they're supposed to all be one view. Okay, so that's probably better to do.
He said 4 feet apart between each.
Okay, so we'll do this the way, we won't set up one view, we'll make a file that has all of these things in it. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is turn on my rooms. Oh, and you just want the base planes of this, right? I'm gonna make a new layer. Okay, so first thing to do is save a copy of your file so that you are not working on your original drawing file. You want a copy of your file that is specifically to set up this isometric view of the step-by-step. Because you may change something that you don't mean to change, you may delete something that you don't mean to delete, and you need to have a copy of your original file somewhere that is not messed up. So take a second and do that. I'm going to assume that I already have, and then I can do whatever I want to this file, and it's not going to screw up anything in the longer term. I'm also going to add a new layer that's just, I don't know, for drawing. You can call it whatever you want, so that I can copy some things around and explode and delete things, so I can just have the floor planes if you don't still have those from your original. From your original drawings.
So you didn't have a layer that had just the floors?
I didn't. I don't know if you guys do.
Right, I just was getting layers of that.
Yeah, if you do, just turn those on. I didn't, so I made a copy of my cubes, and actually I probably still need those around.
If you copy and paste into a whole new document,
Mm-hmm.
will it bring, should it bring
The layers here?
with
Yeah.
it?
Is it not?
Yeah, they're not, the cubes aren't, it's weird.
Can you manage, or do you want me to take a look?
No,
Okay. So I'm gonna make a copy of this and move it from its location, just say 50 feet away in this direction. So that when I turn back on those rooms, I can make a copy of this now. I think that's step 2, right? Step 2 is with the volume. Oh no, step 2 is with the connectors. So I'm going to turn on my connectors. And again, I don't have just the floors, so I'm going to do a little work on that.
do you just explode it?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, do you guys, so you guys don't have all of that either. You need to go in and make the floor plans. So you can go in if you have your volumes and you need just the floors, you can select these and explode and then hide the tops of them. Might be the fastest way to do it. And you can turn those back on. And mine aren't very pretty, but they'll do the job. Or you can duplicate faces or duplicate borders or duplicate edges. I think the easiest thing to do is just have the volumes and explode them and not delete the parts that you don't want to see, but just hide them, and then we can turn them back on when you need to see the volumes. Does everybody understand what I mean? Yeah? Okay. You guys are becoming such Rhino pros. I'm so proud. Okay, when you've got it to that point, I'm going to make a copy, and I'm going to copy it from this corner point to this corner point, and end the copy command by right-clicking, hitting Enter or spacebar, and then taking these and moving them 4 feet to the right, which is our set distance. Right, so I'm starting to set up the sequence of things down here without dramatically modifying this original, so I can turn things on and off. Everybody still with me? Okay. So now I want to show all of those things that I had hidden, which are the volumes of my rooms and the volumes of the connectors. And some of those faces should be open. I'm going to just quickly go in and... yours have been designed, mine is just for show. So I'm going to go in and delete a couple of these faces just so you can see some openings. And this one. And now that I've got that done, I'm going to make a copy of all of this and move it from this point to over here. And then select all of these things and move it 4 feet over. Make sure you have ortho on so that you're moving it 4 feet orthogonally in the x-axis direction. The next one involves that same base. Oh, it has all the interior connections shown and the box. So that's my enclosure. Actually, it's my booleaned enclosure. And I don't have a lot of openings that you can see in that, but yours will be, in the right locations. So I've got my shell. Depending on how many pieces that's in, that might be different for some people. And that should have all of your secondary openings showing at this point too. Does everybody have those as well? Like the doors between rooms and the smaller windows in and out? Yes, no? Are you still with me? Yes? Some nods? One or two? What is that? That's the boolean? These are the inner volumes or the exterior volumes? Where's your exterior shell? Is that part of it?
This is the exterior.
Oh,
Well,
okay.
this is the,
Right, that's what we want is the red. Oh, but you're saying in in the previous ones, this is the previous one?
yeah,
Okay.
but it's just not sure.
That should be okay, as long as you can get the planes in there. That should be okay for the purposes of this drawing.
Yeah.
You just turn it on and then you'll copy it over, and then you'll turn on the shell, and then we're gonna move the shell out of the way.
Because in the drawing, you can leave my back to it anyway.
No, it's all gonna be just fine. Yeah, no, it's not gonna be different layers. Okay, so with your shell on, we're gonna make a copy of all of this and move it from this endpoint over to the endpoint over here. And then I'm going to take all of this. What's this is? I'm gonna take all of this stuff and move it over 4 feet. And then I'm going to take my shell and I'm going to type in move. And before I drag it anywhere, I'm going to move it vertically. So I'm going to click up here in the command line on vertical, yes. And then I'm going to move it up, let's see. 17, the box itself is 17 feet?
The external box is 17 feet high.
Okay, so we'll move it up 34 feet. We'll see if that works with what we need to show. And then the last thing is all of these things together. So I'm going to make a copy of this original with everything involved. And put it here. And then move it over 4 feet.
How did you just do that deselect?
Hold down Control and click on it. You guys still with me? Everybody to that point?
No, you're a little fast.
Well, you gotta speak up. Okay, you're,
It's on video.
it's on video? Okay.
Slow it right now.
All right. So I hid all of the original stuff, right, that was at the 0, location. I'm going to select everything now that's visible, so Control A, and move it from that point back to 0. And let's see. I'm not quite sure where he has these things set, but so we'll go in and set up the camera now to look in the right location at the objects. So the first thing to do is in the Properties window, switch into Parallel. And then if you right-click on the perspective name, you can set camera and target, place camera and target. And you want the camera location to be at, in the X, Y, and Z coordinates, we want it to be at 45 feet, 45 feet, comma, 30 feet, comma, 180 feet, enter. And the target location is going to be at 0, 0, 0. And that puts us backwards from where we were looking at it before. I think I've got my coordinates X, Y, and Z, 45, 30, 180.
Where did you get the camera from? Under the...
Right click on perspective, set camera, place camera, and target. And the camera location per Dan should be at 45 feet, comma, 30 feet, comma, 180 feet. And the target should be at 0, 0, 0.
You show the foot because you got your inches or something?
I am in inches. This drawing wasn't
Okay.
set up correctly.
Oh, you had those foot.
Yeah. Let me just check on the Illustrator template. You doing okay? What's the matter?
No, she did the same thing you did, so that was a good thing.
Okay.
That was motivation.
So this is what it's supposed to look like. During the break, I'll check the dimensions. For some reason, we're looking at it in the wrong direction. I think it should be at negative 45. Yeah. So let's try that one more time. Y should be at 30 feet, and Z should be at 180 feet. Oh, sorry. I should be looking at it like this. So it should be, let's see. So it should be, let's see, it should be 180, negative 45, and 30. Let's see if that works. 180 feet, comma, negative 45 feet, comma, 30 feet, 0, 0, 0. Nope. Alright, I'll figure out the angles over the break and let you know for sure. I don't know why the ones he gave us aren't working. So that's generally what you would do, and then it's a matter of doing Make 2D. I'm not sure if he wants these in wireframe or shaded or what, in shaded view. So you can go into shaded. If you want all of your objects to be white, well, I guess the best thing to do would be to export them as a rendering and then to also Make 2D them so that you can get the line work on top of them. So under render, you can turn on your sun. So under your panels, turn on the sun. You guys all remember how to do this. So you set your location. I'm going to turn this into rendered view. So we've got all this showing correctly. And then we can render. Oh, I want to be able to see the whole thing. And I also want to go into render setup, render properties, and set my background color either to white or to transparent. We had problems with that last time, and I actually didn't take a look into that, why we were having that problem. So anyway, when you would then render it, and save it, and we'll actually, I'll make things a little bit easier for you. Under render properties, turn on your curves, and we're going to turn all of the layers to black, the color to black, so that it'll just render all the curves for us, and you don't have to do a Make 2D on top of everything else. So if you switch all of the layers into black, and then render. It'll draw the lines on it for you.
How did you select all of your layers at once? Did you draw them? Did you tag it?
Just select the top one, hold down Shift, and select the bottom one. And so it'll draw the lines for you. So render curves, render surface edges, and ISO curves. We want both of those on. And then render and render. And make sure you do this at a high enough resolution that you're going to be able to get it to look right on your screen. Otherwise, you'll want to do the Make 2D so that you can control the thickness or the line weights of the outlines of the boxes. Right now, if I put this on my board, it's going to look really pixelated because it's a really low resolution rendering. So remember that you set those under render properties, and you can control the size. So this is the size in pixels, and then the DPI. So you might want to up this to 300, or you might want to change this to something like 1600 by 1200, just so that you get more graphic information to work with, so that you can either scale it up or that it can be looking correct in the at the size that you need to have it on your board. Everybody somewhat clear on that, or feel like going back through the tutorial you could get it?
Can I ask one
Yeah.
before you run? Okay, so when we get to the third stage,
Mm-hmm.
I think I missed something. My model is
This one?
just the extrusions right now, so how should I go back and,
Model is just the extrusions. Oh, so you don't have just the volumes by themselves before they're joined together?
oh, no, actually I do.
Do you have the original boxes and the original connectors by themselves on a layer?
Oh, I do actually.
Okay. If you don't, you can, I think that was the problem that we were having up here, and so you can probably just use that Boolean volume for this purpose.
Okay.
If not, you can explode it and remove one of the faces if you are missing an opening or something like that.
Okay, that makes sense. And then the box over top,
Uh-huh.
that's just our model but shaded, correct?
It should be, yes.
Okay.
It should be the enclosure of the model.
Right.
Yeah. And I think the way I understand it is that's the whole shell, so it should be your whole model. I don't think he wants you to take out the interior volumes, does he?
Well,
Maybe.
that's what I was wondering, if we needed to do like a Boolean difference or something.
Yeah, that's the problem with not knowing exactly what somebody's intention is. I will email Dan and ask him to confirm with you. If you do need that, let me switch this back into wireframe, or ghosted. If you do need that, so if I were looking at this side and I wanted to take out all of these interior elements and I didn't just have, I don't think I just have an enclosure option. I think my enclosure is just a solid box. Yeah. And I don't have a clipping plane, I don't have a Boolean union, I don't have a base. Okay. So let's assume that I don't have any versions of the model where I have what I need for that option. You can select this Boolean version and explode, and you can manually go in and delete out the interior volumes that you don't need. For something that's a fairly simple design like you guys have, I think that shouldn't be too time consuming. And then hopefully it would look correct in the view that you need it for the, for the drawing.
You could also move the top off.
And just look at everything else?
Move the
Yeah.
side and then move it back.
Yeah. It makes a case for making sure that you are saving, or that you're using your layers and that you're saving versions of the information before you Boolean it together, which isn't always necessary. If you know that you're moving in the direction of something and you may not need to step back, then it shouldn't be a problem. But for this case, since we need to see just the shell, you can go in and do it manually. Okay, so we'll do that, and then I'll get you the correct camera location settings. It'll just take me a minute to play around with it. Any other questions?
How do you render the edges without rendering the isocurves? Or what did you? I know you
Oh,
have to render.
if you have isocurves showing, just select everything, Control A, and under Properties, scroll down and uncheck Show Surface Isocurves. And then in your render settings, you want to make sure that both curves, you don't really have any curves. You basically are rendering the surface edges and iso curves, but if your iso curves are on, you don't want them on. So select your objects, turn those off, and then do the rendering. Does that make sense? Okay. Okay. Any other questions before we move on to the next?
Can you zoom in on that?
Zoom in on it.